curious as to what the difference of a Tesla is versus the sensitive, the 10, the 25, the 50, the 100.
Okay.
And how do we know which one to use?
Yes. Okay, thank you for this question. Our systems, on our systems, you have the possibility to adjust the intensity. The intensity levels of the applied magnetic field. We learned about intensity and frequency this morning. So the intensity is valued in Tesla, microtesla. Our systems, however, you cannot adjust them in microtesla. You can adjust them in 8 different intensity levels. It starts from sensitive over intensity 10, 25, 50, 100, 150, 200, and 400. Those numbers do not reflect the actual microtesla values. They are just simple numbers to make it easy for you to get a feeling about the levels going up and down. 10, 25. You can either say 10%, 25%, 50% whatsoever. So those numbers are not actual Tesla numbers, because with actual Tesla numbers, most of the people have problem again, because they say I don't know anything about microtesla. So we developed a system to make adjustments very simple by using just numbers. So and then we'll probably answer a lot of questions. I designed something 15 years ago which I call Wolf's Law. Yeah, because I was the only guy who was teaching this, so I could not refer to a scientist, so I gave it my own name, Wolf's Law. So, and the question are always, I have this condition, I have that, what is the best protocol? How can I use this? What do I adjust when I have arthritis? What do I adjust? How do I use the system when I have chronic pain? And so on and so on and so on. And instead of always telling the people what they should do in terms of their particular condition, I developed this chart. You can make a picture and take it home, and you will never ask a question anymore when you have a problem how to use it properly. Because it's very simple, Wolf's Law is a general use protocol of the IMRS Prime and the All-New One. That's the name of the both systems we have. And it applies for both systems exactly the same, because both systems, they give you exactly the same output in terms of the properties of the electromagnetic field. So how to use that, It's very very self-explaining. Settings for the whole body mat. Use the full body mat 2 to 3 times a day for around 8 minutes. Note, and we learned that also, the cellular resonance lasts 4 to 6 hours. So whenever you do 8 minutes on a whole body mat, you actually do 4 to 6 hours of therapy. Because the system, the body takes over the resonance and uses it for 4 to 6 hours. So
pull it down a little bit.
Okay. What do you mean? It's better? Down. No? Okay. Good. So, where was I? 2 to 3 times a day for about 8 minutes. So, a general protocol, again, it is not crucial so much that you need for each condition a particular protocol. Forget about this. This is not what it's all about. Goes always in sleep mode, sorry. It's much more important that you do it with consistency. And Wolf's Law explains how we approach PEMF devices with human beings. We only differentiate between 2 conditions, chronic or acute. Chronic is everything what already prevails 6 months or longer. Acute is 0 to 6 months. So this is what more or less everybody knows about their condition. How long I have it already. If you have it longer than 6 months, you are chronic. If you have it shorter than 6 months, you are still in the acute stage. And this 6 months rule comes from classical medical field, because that's what is taught also in the medical universities. Okay? So, and then you have this nice picture That's you, or me, or whoever. That's a human being. And when we approach PEMF, we divide the human body in three segments. We have the head-neck area, we have the thoracic and abdominal area, and we have the area below the hips. That's more or less the three areas. So obviously, when you use the body mat, all three areas are exposed. You go only 2 to 3 times a day. In the morning, you set the intensity at 25. If you do a session midday or in the evening, you set the intensity at 10. So you see, very low intensities. You don't have to go on 400 or whatsoever with the whole body mat. The higher intensities, everything below 100, is even reserved for the local applicators anyway. So usually you never do a whole body session with 200 or 400 because you will not gain an extra benefit from it. Even if you think, oh, 400, it's what I want. You know, especially the men, they call me always and say, when can I go on 400? Well, what does it mean? You know, you think you are better when you go on 400? No, you're not. You know, intensity is not the right approach. Remember what we learned. Consistency beats intensity. So it's much more crucial to make sure that you get at least two daily sessions with PEMF, and do it with a lower intensity versus doing higher intensity with the idea I get better results or quicker results. That's not true. That's not going to work, you know, so forget about that. On the other hand, you do not harm when you go on 400 because the system is not designed to harm people. You could lie there 24/7, it will not harm you, it's just a waste of time. You don't need to do that, you know. But like I said, 25 intensity in the morning, which equals about maybe 15 to 20 microtesla. That's not a lot, but if you do that every day, it's good, you know. How can just to manifest this. If you brush your teeth every day, how many minutes do you invest for one session? 2 minutes? Maybe, let's say. I would say 2 minutes. That's my feeling, 2 to 3 minutes. Let's say 2 minutes, okay. Usually 2 times a day, minimum. Sometimes 3 times, let's say 2 times per day. So that's 4 minutes per day you invest for brushing your teeth. Okay? 7 days a week. So we have 7 times 4, so we invest 28 minutes of our valuable time per week to brush our teeth, right? So, and now, these clever people, they say, if I look at my schedule, every Saturday between 9 and 10 in the morning, I have nothing to do. So, I'm gonna brush my teeth now every Saturday at 9 o'clock for 28 minutes. Well, maybe with a higher intensity because there is more stuff to get rid of. Well, but statistically, it's exactly the same number. Correct? Talking about the results, it's a different situation. Because if you do that, you will probably gonna lose your teeth. Even if you invest exactly the same time, maybe even with a higher intensity, but your focus is on intensity and not consistency. What? Don't shout to your wife, I love you, 1 time on Saturday morning. Whisper to her every day 2 times. That makes a whole lot of difference. You know? This is the way how to approach energy medicine. And that's why don't torture yourself too much with finding the superhuman protocol for PEMF for your particular problem. Because there is none. You know, there is only one superhuman protocol, and it is use it with consistency. And that's what you need to do. And then 25 in the morning with the whole body mat and 8 minutes, and intensity 10 in the evening with 8 minutes. Sometimes you can, especially for the people who have problems to fall asleep, they can extend the evening session to 24 minutes on intensity 10. And usually what happens after 16 minutes, they fall asleep anyway on the applicator. That will do the job. And the higher intensities, they are reserved for the local applicators. You see, the computer forces me to move a lot, which is good for me.
Did you settle?
So, the local applicator we approach, we have the 3 segments, head, neck, abdominal, thoracic abdominal area and everything below there. And then we just differentiate between acute and chronic. And if we have a chronic problem, no matter what it is, arthritis, thyroid problem, cataract, migraine, hip replacement, lower back pain, neck pain. I mean, the only thing what you should know is, where's my neck? Well, it's probably here. So, if I have this problem already 6 months or longer, this is what I'm going to do with the local applicator. Intensity 10 to 25. You can start with a lower one, and if you think you have the feeling that you get better results if you ramp up the intensity, well, ramp it up 1 step, but that's enough. You go for 8 minutes. It's chronic. And if you have an acute problem, you can see we can go up higher intensity because your situation is already acute. So we can apply a stronger signal because you're in an acute stage. It's not chronified. And you can also apply longer durations. And this applies, and then the next thing is, the further you go away from the head-neck area, because that's where your autonomic nervous system is implanted. So you are quite more sensitive in this area than if you go lower to your body. So no matter whether it's chronic or acute, you can increase the intensity the further down you go. And this is all what you need to take care of. And no matter what happens here, if you have a lung problem, a pancreatic problem, a shoulder problem, it doesn't matter because it all contains of cells. Now again, okay. Thank you very much for this. Well, that's when you use a PDF without implementing it in a presentation. All right. So, does this make sense to you?
It's a bit risk of some mental issue, right?
Yeah. If it's chronic, where's the mental issue happening? Usually here. Some men have mental issues here, but usually it's here. You know, some men always come, when I finish the lecture, they say, "Can I ask you a question? Does it help?" And I said, "Well, yeah, it does. How am I going to figure this out?" And I said, "Well, it's very simple. You lie down, you put the pillow on it, 400 for 24 minutes. When the pillow falls down on the floor, it works." But joke aside, there is science out which definitely confirms that it helps for that particular man's issue. But usually we talk about the primary brain and not the secondary brain. Okay? So that's it. So there is no question allowed anymore. I have this problem. How am I going to set it up? Here's the answer. If you don't have this piece of paper, for all the reps, this is in your personal back office. You can download it as a PDF. And for all the users who are not attached to Swiss Bionic Solutions, ask for that piece of paper from your representative. They're going to send it to you. And you will be safe for the rest of your life to use PEMF in a proper way. And if you want a super duper human protocol, it's not existing. Except with one exception. And now we don't need this anymore because maybe you figured out if you have an IMRS Prime or even an Omnium 1, we have these so-called fast start programs. Right? And they have names, which are quite self-explaining. Sleep. Well, you usually don't use that when you are going to a sporting challenge or whatsoever. They don't sleep because the sleep fast start program is designed to prepare you for a good sleep. Then we have regeneration, self-explaining. We have balance, self-explaining. We have activation. That's definitely a morning fast start because you need to activate your entire system, you know. But with the newest update, which we came out, by the way, yesterday we released the newest one. Like I told you already, with the temperature adjustments. There are two new fast start programs. One is called cell training, and the other one is called longevity. And once you have the upgrade installed in the IMRS Prime, you will see that on the display of the fast start programs automatically, miraculous. It's there, you know. And those two protocols, they are quite powerful because they run different patterns. They increase the intensity, decrease the intensity. So that's a quite of a dynamic protocol, you know. Cell training, it trains your cells. And why we come out with this? Because we also learn over time. You know, we get the feedback from you. By the way, you are so proactive, and we are so happy to have such great users and people who are constantly feeding us with their experiences, which I'm so happy because it helps us to make our systems better. And as a gift back to you, we give you the results out of it in form of these upgrades, you know. So, and me personally, I see the future in PEMF and the way how we're going to deal with protocols more in the direction of increasing the amount and possibilities within the fast start region. So, because the protocols per se, they become more holistic. We collect more information. For example, cell training and longevity contains of the entire solfeggio scale. So the solfeggio scale, they are in our case solfeggio scale 9. Those are 9 healing frequencies, very ancient healing frequencies, which are mostly only used in music, in sound. And we are the only ones who put that whole thing into a PEMF device. Because whether I'm going to apply a frequency via a sound wave or an electromagnetic wave, it doesn't matter. It's the same information, you know? And one of these magic frequencies within the solfeggio 9 scale, for example, is 528 Hertz. It's known as the frequency of love, and it's also known, and there is scientific study out, as a frequency which is capable of repairing DNA. Miracle. So that's quite cool and impressive, and we are coming out with more and more of this frequency stuff. The more science comes out about frequencies, and now we can implement this. And so this is going to be the idea. We're gonna come out with more frequencies, with more faster programs. That makes it easier for you to use it, and at the same time, it makes it more effective for all of us, because we can implement all the wisdom, all the knowledge, all the empiric data from the feedback we collect from our users, and we have about 1.2 million users worldwide. That's quite a number, you know. And from there, we can make the systems more personalized, you know. And that's gonna happen in the next couple of years. That will be in my opinion, the evolution of PEMF to get this more. And by the way, the new upgrade also allows you to use far infrared with the eye guide. Bang, it's just there, you know? So whenever you open the eye guide with one of the protocols, you will get a button which tells you want to have far infrared active or inactive when a FIR mat is connected, and you can run it. And it also allows you to still adjust the far infrared temperature manually in the FASTA programs. So it depends a little bit. When you live in Siberia or in Novosibirsk, it's still cold in the summer, so maybe the regular settings will not do the job, so you can manually make it warmer or make it colder. So those are the main updates within the upgrades within the updates, which helps you to become a little bit more specialized and personalized.
If you have, I have a 2-year-old machine and I have it updated once. Can I just do this update?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
You should at least have a 2 point something.
Okay.
If it's 1 point something, you need to do one step in between. And you probably call somebody before, that's a little bit tricky. But if you look in your system, in the settings, under system, Veronica, what's the system? System information, and there you will see the firmware version. And if it's a 2 point whatever, then you can directly upgrade it.
Thank you.
And where to find the update file? You go on imrsprime.com, imrsprime.com, and once you are on the main page, on the home page, there is on top, it says support. You click on support, and then you end up with a support site. And there is one menu, a bar, which says firmware upgrade. And then you click on that, and on the bottom on the right side, there is the link to the download. And then you would download it to a USB stick, and from there you can upload it to your system.
How big of a USB?
The file is less than 1 gigabyte, so by the way, for the format of the USB, we figured out that only 2 formatted USB sticks work really properly, and it's FAT32, FAT32, or exFAT. Those are the 2 USB sticks. So they have to be formatted within that either one or the other format. But this is all explained also on the support website, specifically on the section where we explain the upgrade procedure to you. But like I said, from 2 point whatever, you can always upgrade directly to the newest version. You don't have to go through all the previous ones. You will be amazed what we already put in exactly. So, is this clear? Crystal clear. Do it like this. And you can do this with confidence, because this is going to work. And it will never work for everybody the same, because we are individual. You know, the only thing what can happen to you, and what you probably adjust, is sometimes you need to just fine-tune a little bit. But you will figure this out over time, because if you use PEMF in a consistent way, you will somehow feel a body sensitivity towards it. And I'm not sure if we have users who already confirmed this, that if you do a couple hundred applications, which is we talk about a couple of weeks, because if you do T3 a day, it's not so much. That can you confirm this? That you sometimes I need to go a little bit higher or a little bit lower, because you create this sensitivity towards it. And that's the cool thing about energy medicine. Your body starts talking to you about that, and also to activate existing senses to tell you this feels good or this doesn't feel good. Like we hear some testimonies, people lie on it, like you said, it totally blew me away. This is a reaction that doesn't go only into your body, it also goes into your mind or into your spirit, and those are the things. With this, you develop somehow a personal guideline which button you should press to give you the best result. Right? This is so different comparing to having this prescription in hand and telling you exactly what you should swallow every day. And that's why I totally understand that this is new. And this doesn't sound what we get taught, right? But energy medicine works different. You know, consistency beats intensity, and here we regulate. And regulation beats time, you know, to regulate. But once the regulation is there, once the system is in balance, it does miracles to you, you know? And then by utilizing it further on, you just somehow you keep this consistency of the balance. And that helps your body to maintain this healthy state. And this is what we know as self-healing property. Right? And never forget and underestimate the fuel. You know, no Ferrari is running on diesel. Only our Ferraris. And I know people are again, you know, are very clever. They say if I can do it both at the same time, I save a lot of time. Well, you cannot. And there's a reason for that, and we learned that today. Remember what I told you about the waveforms? Right? So we have this whole body map giving you a triple sawtooth with this whole symphony of frequencies in a very short period of time. And now imagine you overlay this information with a sawtooth waveform. So, in other words, you lie on the whole body mat and you put the spot or the pillow on top of you and you turn on both. And suddenly you have two speakers talking a different language, but on the same stage. So what it will do to you if I speak to you in English and now somebody is beside me speaking to you in a different language at the same time. That will be distracting, disturbing. You will not be happy. You will be agitated by that kind of situation. And this is exactly what happens when you try to combine two waveforms which are not designed to align. Then you create, I would not say dirty electricity, but you create a disturbing information which the body cannot understand anymore. And the result is your body is exposed to just a chaotic accumulation of information which is not capable to resonate with, and then you don't have the benefit. But what you can do, this is a little trick from my side. For example, if you want to do a spot application, that's the smallest applicator we have, on the head-neck area, and maybe you want to do a PET session with the other smaller applicator, the area applicator, on the legs. You can do this because with our system you have this so-called split mode. So the split mode allows you to run two applications completely independently. And so you have actually two systems built in one. You have a left side and the right side. That's why it's called split mode, because your screen will split. And you will have the possibility on the right side to adjust applicator 1, local applicator, and on the left side adjust applicator 2. And you can adjust the settings completely independent, and you can also run these sessions completely independent.
That's what
and if you do this, and you have at least, let's say, a foot distance between the two applicators, then those signals will not interfere and you can use it. And don't forget, you always apply them 2 times the square wave, which is not so disturbing comparing to applying is a triple sawtooth plus a square wave. That's a no-go. So whole body man with local applicator in one session, no-go. 2 local applications with split mode, with at least 1 foot distance between 2 applicators, it's a go.
Another question?
So just to clarify what you said before about the protocol, I have a client who went to a doctor who had an IMRS prime, took their father, and the father had 6 different conditions. So the doctor put him on the system 6 different times, put the dad in a massive detox. He did not feel better. What he should have done is just pick the protocol that should guide and do them at one time, and he's had his session. You don't have to treat every single thing. You're treating the whole system. It's just the intensity one time that you do.
Exactly. The doctor has no clue what he's doing.
I didn't want to say that, but
But that's exactly what's the situation here, you know. And again, the system does not treat diseases. It doesn't even care what problem you have. Don't forget that, okay?
Following her question, how would, if each 6 had different intensities, which one do you pick?
No, there is no different
Oh, okay.
intensities. Again, go with this protocol.
Okay, got it.
If you go with this protocol, I promise you from the bottom of my heart, in 95% of all cases, you will be right. And for the 5%, we need to invest a little bit of time and figure out how to adjust it correctly. And this is always in life like that. You know, everything generic never applies for 100%. Right? But do you know, if you have a patient coming in, what's really going on inside that body? No, you don't. You know, you have to make an assessment based on your education, based on your experience, and probably based on scientific tools. This can be an analysis, a blood analysis, it can be a measuring, it can be a biomarker, whatever. Those are the 3 things you can assess the person's status. You know, we as lay people, you know, the only thing what we can assess is I have a problem. And this relates in pain or in sweating or in all kinds of you know, feelings that comes with a disease, and this is the only way we can express it to a medical person when we meet them. And then they get their tools out, and then there is an assessment. And still this assessment might not be 100% right. And yet you get the prescription of the drugs. Because the medical personnel, he can make assessment only on education and on what kind of treatments he or she has for that particular condition. Right? But it's also for everybody, it's the same. You know, and that's why if you use this protocol, 95% you will be okay. For the other 5%, you need to figure it out. And this will probably, we work on that to make it more personalized. We are on a good way, but we are not there yet. We are still too dumb for that. Yeah, wait, just her, then she. A comment on that, okay? A comment on that.
I would just say that, so I see people that have lots of different issues, and I go by whether they have a nerve issue or not. If they have a nerve issue, then I go low and stay low and go slow.
But don't forget, you're much more experienced already. So you had to earn this experience, and you probably didn't do that right from the beginning.
No.
Exactly. And that's what I said. Just go with this protocol, and everything else you're going to teach yourself. Be confident. You can't do wrong with this. You can only do good. Ma'am.
Just saying, there's no contraindication for anything at all.
There is 3 contraindications: pacemaker, pregnancy, epilepsy. 3 contraindications by law.
So Medtronic will the better Medtronic.
between you and me, it will not interfere with your Medtronic device. But I'm not allowed to recommend it to you. Okay, you know the protocol. Okay. By the way, I can add technically the newer pacemakers. We talk about the bipolar ones, which probably after 2002. They all have a backup program, so they will not quit their work anyway. But it is indeed a contraindication by law. And so is pregnancy. I know a lot of happy magnetic field babies, so don't worry, nothing will happen. But I'm not allowed to recommend this, and I will not do this because it's a contraindication by law. In epilepsy, is a contraindication by law because if somebody will experience a seizure on the mat, which can incidentally happen because a seizure can hit you at any time, then it will be also a question of liability. Do you have something else in mind, or?
So for the people, they have main condition.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have metal inside, that's
Mental issues.
mental issues. Yeah, you can use it. Yeah, absolutely. Also, the brainwave entrainment, the additional, goggles, which addresses everything what the applicator does to your body, to the brain, you can use it without any problems. Again, the system cannot harm. It cannot harm, period. It cannot harm you.
How about sleeping in a magnet bag?
Pardon?
Magnet bag. A bag magnet.
A bed with magnets.
Bed made of metal.
Me-
A bed made of metal.
Aha, a bed with metal coils inside. Yeah. If you have usually you can use the applicators on top of a mattress, but if the mattress is very smooth, don't use it. Soft. Don't use it because you will bend the coils. And remember, we have solid copper coils built in. So if you bend them, they eventually break, and then you have a problem because you need to buy a new applicator. That's why we do not recommend to use the whole body applicator on a soft mattress, especially if you have more weight than average, because you will put a lot of tension, and that eventually bends the coils and they break, and then you have a problem. When you have the whole body applicator on a solid surface, nothing will happen. You can even run it with the car over it. If the surface is solid, you will not break it. The bending is the problem. Okay?
About magnet, if it's a magnet mattress.
Yeah.
Magnet, okay?
You probably refer to the Niken products or whatsoever with the static magnets. Don't use it on that because that will totally alter the entire information. By the way, a static magnet has a big disadvantage. It has no frequency. If you never know about that, now you know it. And no frequency. Those static magnets, they only try to work with intensity because they are very strong in terms of their intensity. But a static magnet has no frequency. So there is no pulse. And therefore the cell is sitting here and said, that doesn't talk to me. Because there is no frequency. And no frequency means there is no attraction on the ions. And then you cannot build membrane protection. And that's why the static magnets, they don't work. And if you put a whole applicator on a static magnet, you know what you do when you turn it on? You amplify the entire signal. Because you actually do the same what is done in electric cars. Because they have a coil where they run current, and in the middle of the coil they have a static magnet which amplifies the intensity. So that's a no-go. Okay? It's really a no-go because that may harm you, ma'am.
To mention all times, would you suggest like the dollars or the mat?
Yeah. But yes, you can do it together. You can do it, by the way, very simple, without having any knowledge. You just use the FASTA programs. Yeah? You use it no matter if it's Parkinson, Alzheimer, all kinds of brain diseases, in the same meaning that you would use for a healthy person. If these people want to regenerate, you use regeneration. When you plug in the goggles, you get automatically the correct patterns for regeneration. In terms of color, in terms of carrier frequency, and even in terms of the tones when you apply earphones with it. So this can be done so easily by everybody without having any knowledge. Yeah? So everything comes out automatically with the FASTA programs. That's why I encourage you to use the FASTA programs. Also with the goggles, because you get all the different colors directly fine-tuned to the specific program. Makes it so simple. By the way, we just came out with a new brochure about the FASTA programs, which you can demand from our representatives and which can be downloaded from the back office, which explains in detail every single FASTA program, what it does for you, what patterns we programmed, and how to use it. That's a PDF, 8 pages, self-explained. Let's take somebody else. Or do you want to add something again?
I would like to get a clarification from you on electrical implant. Spinal cord stimulator and a cochlear implant?
No problem.
No problem?
No, I didn't see any, no. It's no contraindication by law, and I see no technical reason why it should not be used, because again, our applied intensity levels are so low. I give you a comparison. What's coming out here in terms of electromagnetic intensity is about 25% of what your blow dryer exposes in terms of electromagnetic intensity. Because a blow dryer usually does between 500 or 400 and 700 microtesla. And we expose between 25 and 70, max 100 microtesla. So, do you use your blow dryer when you have an implant? Yes, you do. Did it ever not work? So, that's not a contraindication. You can use it.
That about the heart stem.
No problem. Metals, screws, whatsoever, every metal which is used inside during surgery, what is implanted, no problem. You know, so-called TEPS, total endoprostasis, no problem. Replacement hips, replacement knees. There's actually a high chance when you use post-surgery for hip or knee replacement that you have a much faster healing when you use PEMF. And usually when it heals perfectly inside your tissue, it will last longer until the next surgery cycle. Usually they say now between 10 and 12 years, so you can probably extend that to 15, 20 years.
Yeah, but what I'd like to know is why is there repeating all the two fucking together when I'm starting using the math and I already not the other stimulator? What am I still?
Which stimulator you mean? Okay.
So it's not adjusted, they already stuff like that in classes.
The spinal but the spinal stimulators, they don't work with electromagnetic fields, they work with electricity. They just work with an electric signal. So they do not interfere this kind of modality. Yeah. Sir?
What would be the right way to the medical user who is going to chemotherapy after surgery?
What would be the right way to?
There is a lady, they remove cancer from her lung.
Yeah.
And now she's going through therapy, chemotherapy.
Yeah.
And what would be the right way?
This will be the right way to use it.
About that, I'm not getting this.
This is the right way to use it.
You have to go down every section of the body, or you have to use it?
Cancer is chronic, right?
Yeah.
So you use it 25 in the morning with 8 minutes, and in the evening, and you take this line here, and wherever you want to apply, you use these settings. And here it says how much? 2 to 3 times daily. That's how simple it is. Don't make it too complicated. It's not necessary. Okay? Yeah?
They should. It's the same.
Yeah. It's the same. How do we know where the diabetes comes from? Well, we know in certain cases, but what are we going to do with PMF and diabetes? Nothing. But what we're going to do is we try to increase the self-healing capacity of the body. How are we going to do this? With Wolf's Law. I know it sounds so profane. Yeah, it sounds so profane, but we don't have to make a science out of it when there is no more science behind. We don't have to always question things. This technology is so well researched, and it's on the market since 30 years. We never had to do a MDR, which is a medical device reporting to the FDA. Usually you have to do this if somebody has a serious incident with such a technology. We never had to report this to the FDA, and we never had to report this to one of the European authorities during 30 years. And that gives me the confidence to stand here and say, in these cases, you can use it without any restriction, except the 3 contraindications, which I just tell you because I don't want to get in trouble. By the way, Swiss Bionic Solution, nobody knows that, is the only company in the PMF field which provides a product liability insurance. 10 million per case. So it's also addressed to our reps. So if something is happening with a patient, and this patient is trying to sue the company, we have insurance for that, which is also in the favor of an eventual patient if something is happening. Just to let you know. And this insurance costs a fortune every year. And we are the only company who has this, and you can even get the policy, the copy of it, because we have it. Just to make sure that everything is really in order. And no matter if you are a representative of Swiss Bionic or a user of Swiss Bionic devices, then you are in compliant hands. And we learned today that a lot of that stuff might not even be biologically available inside your body because you don't have the ability to absorb it. Right? So, last year, for all the people who were not here, I introduced something which I'm very intrigued about. And this is the idea that with the evolving genetic technologies, especially the laboratory work, the way how DNA can be tested, how genetics can be tested, we would have a possibility to send you to make a DNA test, and based on that DNA test, we can figure out how you react on your environment, how you deal with that, and then provide a personalized mixture of nutrition. That's an amazing idea, right? So I introduced that last year. I was working together with a laboratory which I found at that time, and which was very impressive to see what they do with genetic tests. They were highly certified, and also some of these companies, they did it more for lifestyle purposes. Here in the US, 23andMe, you heard about that, look at your ancestry and all that stuff. A lot of people did it. What they didn't figure out, they gave their whole DNA data for free, and 23andMe, they sold it for $500 million to the pharmaceutical industry. Later we figured out that one of the founders of 23andMe is the wife of Serge Brin, who is one of the founder of Google. So all makes sense, right? And that was the basic idea for me was, that's great, because then we can, if we can get a DNA expertise from you, as an individual, and we are capable of finding out how to excite your genetic expression towards nutrients or nutrition, then we are also capable of offering you a personalized nutritional intervention. And then I started my own research, like I always do, and I get into something new. And over time, I learned that a simple genetic test is not the way to do it. Because a simple genetic test is a very static information. Because it just gives me some kind of idea if you are prone to certain diseases, if you have, of course, about your ancestry and everything, but it doesn't really give you an idea about. It doesn't give you a really idea about getting an analysis out of you and try to turn this into information into a personalized intervention. What's more interesting, but this laboratory was not able to do that, is instead of making a genetic test, to do a so-called precise epigenetic analysis, which was at that time not available when I started to do that. Now it's available, and what it does is it does not look at your DNA, it looks at biomarkers in your DNA which are responsible for switching your genes on and off, or did that. And this is what we call epigenetics, you know? And if we can perform such an analysis from you personal, then we get a lot of information depending on which biomarker we look at, how we can trigger that, how we can talk to them. You know what I mean? So not doing a test, but an analysis, because analysis is measuring. So we actually measure values. DNA test does not measure values. It gives you a static picture of who you are genetically. A epigenetic analysis is measuring values. For example, and now it gets really cool. Gets really cool, because with the analysis we're gonna provide, hopefully by the end of the year, we can even measure the length of your telomeres. So length. So we can definitely tell you with a accuracy of about 98.5% how old you really are. So not your chronological age, but your biological age. And even more, we can tell you how fast or slow you age. So this is new, and this is something nobody can predict right now. And every prediction you get out of a genetic test right now is artificial intelligence. It's just calculating something, but it's not measuring. You know, and that's too less for me. We need to measure actual values, because I need to get an idea about the values, because I want to make sure how I can switch genes on and off. For example, that suddenly diets work for you, which didn't work for you yet. This is cool stuff, I tell you. It goes really deep into something new, you know. And long story short, our approach for the future is not to look on your genetics. We look on your epigenetic, because genetics is given, epigenetics is driven. The idea about epigenetics is that epigenetics is responsible for the regulation of your gene expression. So this is not a static field, it's a quite dynamic process, right? And like always people said, we are controlled by our DNA. This is not true. This was science from last year. Science from now is we are not controlled by our genes, it's exactly the opposite. We control our genes under the constant influence of our environment. So whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we drink, whatever we're gonna practice on this planet has an influence on our genetic expression. You mentioned something, you do some lab tests and stuff like that, yeah? So you know what I'm talking about, right? Exactly. And flipping switch on and off, and you know, about last year I always thought you can only flip a switch on and off, but that's also not true. You can also dim a gene. You can literally dim a gene, you know, a gene towards a very, very fine-tuned value, if you know how to talk to this particular gene. And the language is this. It's epigenetics. Because epigenetics summarizes as a definition the regulation of our gene expression. So, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this so-called Human Genome Project, which started in 1959, where they started decoding in human DNA. It was finally finished in 2022. So it took quite a while, almost 70 years, to decoding the entire sequence of the 3 billion DNA building blocks inside a human being. And in March 22, more than 100 international researchers reported in the journal Science that it's done. So, and everybody said, oh, now we're gonna know everything about the miracle of life, you know, everybody is now quite disappointed, because we know now everything about the 3 billion DNA building blocks, but we don't know what to do with it. Because it's just a static information. It's not something we can really create into a health benefiting action. And the real deal lies in epigenetics. And there is incredible new stuff out. Will not believe this, you know. I'm also a fan of numbers. I got you some numbers which are quite interesting. The human contains of approximately 25,500 genes. The water flea has about 5,000 more. Isn't that interesting? By the way, this little fellow here, the water flea, the water flea, it's this little animal, has 5,000 genes more than you and me. Proven, period. You know? And in the meantime, it became a quite favorite scope of scientists, because the water flea has indeed a very interesting DNA. You know, the reason why we are bigger and at least we think that we are more intelligent than a water flea, who knows? I never talked to one, so I don't know. I never shared science and physics with the water flea. Maybe we should do that to figure out if he or she is more intelligent than us. But those little fellows, they are quite interesting, you know, for science, because they have indeed more genes than a human being, but their entire DNA thread is not as complex as human beings, and that's why, you know, they still look like this, and they will probably not develop into something different, and they probably don't have the overall capacity, intelligence, and capabilities of what a human being has. But it's an interesting number, right? Well, so the DNA thread of the 23 human chromosomes comprises around 3.2 billion gene letters. Can you imagine that? Do you understand what kind of miracle you carry around on a daily basis? Your body, your organism? This is fantastic. You know, we know that now. You know, this is proven by science. The text of the human DNA, everything what is written in the human DNA, would fill around 3,000 books, each book 1,000 pages, each 1,000 letters thick. That's the amount of information which is built in our DNA. Crazy numbers. You know, and I mentioned it already today, the text of the genome in human beings is if we compare the apes and the human beings, we are at 98.5 or something like that. Some people are even equal to apes. You know, they missed to develop the last 1.5%, as we all know. You know, but those are amazing numbers. You know, so I can tell you, this is the next level of medicine, because we now going from blood analysis, from all this kind of laboratory work into the next level, which is the DNA, which is to understand how the DNA is controlled, how we can intervene, how we can interfere, how we can genes switch on, switch off, dim. You know, this is cool. This is cool stuff, you know. And those are the tests you usually get when you want to buy one on the internet right now. We call it a SNP test. Maybe you heard about that. SNP, SNP, single nucleotide polymorphisms. This is a very simple genetic test which you can buy online between $300 and $1,500, let's say it like that. Depending on whether you end up with a scam, who uses a cheap genetic test but ask a lot of money because people are dumb, they don't know what is good and what is not good. But it's a quite simple way of a genetic test. And this genetic SNP test is usually used for diagnostics. The main task hereby is to find the cause of an existing inherited disease. This could be quite important. It is also used as a predictive genetic test to identify certain static characteristics in a person's metabolism, which, for example, influence the effect of a drug. So this can also be figured out from the static genetic test, and it can be also used for prognosis, you know, to estimate the risk of future diseases. They can also provide information how likely is it to pass on a genetic trait or disease to one's own children. All these results based on a SNP test are always based on an algorithmic comparison of the individual data with an existing empiric database, including reporting. It is not an analysis, it is not a measuring. It's a comparison. And therefore, it's static and it cannot be used to really create personalized intervention.
It depends on PEMF on the one electromagnetic field attacks the body cell.
Yeah. What do you mean is?
Electromagnetic field attacks all the body cells.
Yeah.
Cell towers, cell phones.
Yeah.
Electronics attacks the cells
Yeah.
and damage the cells.
And?
Versus genetic.
You know what the problem is? This next layer is so unknown. I have no idea what PEMF does on this level yet. Do you know what I mean? We have no idea yet. There's no science out yet. We know one thing, and this is what, give me 2 minutes because you need to read this.
Sorry. She'll get the everyone.
I'm sorry. This is what we're gonna come out with soon, which is really groundbreaking. Because we don't do a SNP test, we do a complex epigenetic lab analysis with genomic biomarkers. And this is something you need to Google, because I couldn't believe it, but there is a lot of science already out. The new fellows we look at are called microRNAs. MicroRNAs. You're gonna freak out when you Google it because you will end up with a lot of information. The microRNAs are the biomarker of the DNA. They found already 5,000 of them. They are just not all very well researched, but they found already 5,000 different of them. A biomarker is, for example, your heart rate is a biomarker. Your heart rate variability is a biomarker. Your breath rate is a biomarker. Everything what's coming out of your blood is a biomarker. And the biomarkers of your DNA are called microRNAs. Microribonucleic acids. Those are the fellows. And like I said, you will figure out when you Google them a lot about that. So what we're gonna do in our new venture is, first of all, I told you already, we're gonna measure the telomere length and so give you the biological age versus your chronological age, which is quite interesting. We will also look at 5 specific microRNAs for the assessment of physiological stress levels on a DNA level. We will look on 3 microRNAs of your genometry longevity clock. So we will definitely get an idea how your aging speed is and how we can bring this down. And we can lower this. This is all about extending longevity. And then we still look at 3 SNPs because they are very interesting. The first one is MTHF. Don't read this, it's too big. It looks on your folder, vitamin B12. Then we have the FATS1, the fatty acid desaturase 1 gene, which is responsible for the genetic risk for decreased N6 and 3. Here we talk about the inflammation. And then we have the FTO gene, which is fatness and obesity associated, which changes in your BMI and obesity and the need for increased sport to silence the FTO SNP. So this is a quite interesting thing when we talk about weight management, weight loss. You know, because those are really interesting things. And everything is value-based because we make actually measurements. And it comes with an extensive report, which tells you about that.
So that's blood work.
That's, that I was waiting for that. That was indeed only possible with blood work until recent. Because we are now, this is a project we are doing with the Medical University of Vienna in Austria. This is all backed up by science. I mean, this is crazy. There's a lot of science out. This is no woo-woo. This is backed up by science. And this was done until 2 months ago only with blood work. We are now doing a validation study. I think some of you guys gave us already some blood and some saliva. We asked for, because we're doing a study right now. We don't want to do this with blood work because it is messy at home. It is also, when we talk about the regulatory perspective, it's not really the real deal. We don't want to get in trouble with any regulatory authorities. So we talked to the laboratory and they said we can also do this with a buccal swab, but we need to do a study. You know, we need to do a validation study, and therefore we need blood tests and buccal swab tests for one and the same people, hundreds of them, and then we can validate the tests. So we definitely will come out with a buccal swab test, which is very simple to do at the comfort of your own. It takes 1 minute, and when you pack it, we'll send it. Okay? If you need to go now, you can go. I just wanted you to hear that because I heard you that you need to give report. And thanks for being with us today during the day. Thank you. Have a good one. So, and then we take it a step further. Now we have the analysis. And the next step is intervention. We develop new intelligent nutrients. We call them smart grains. And these smart grains are containing of, I thought always vitamins is the idea. And then I figured out, I was finding a company in Switzerland, they are doing a lot of research with the so-called blue zones. You heard about that, you know? The zones in the world where people become really old. And, you know, they told me if you want to really revolutionize the nutritional business, don't go with vitamins, go with secondary plant compounds, phytochemicals. Resveratrol, and so on and so on. And now we are developing between 16 and 20 different phytohormone smart grains. And based on your epigenetic analysis, we're going to send you a 90-day program specially designed for you, which gives you everything to switch on, to switch off, to dim your genetic in a way that it aligns with your analysis. And the idea is to increase longevity and in the same time to minimize diseases. And that's the new approach. We founded a new company. It's called Nutagen. Nutrition tailored by genetics, Nutagen. And this is also the way, comparing to what I told you last year, Terry, remember, which we probably get through the FDA. Because the system which I introduced last year, because it was 100% personalized, it will never become regulated. With this way, we're going to regulate each of the phytohormones, and based on your analysis, we're going to create this 90-day thing for you. Then we have we believe that we get it regulated, so that it will be obvious, that it will be objectively acknowledged, and that we have no regulatory problems when we bring it out on the market. Specially developed, and this is the new thing what we're going to come out with. Probably we work on that now. Once the validation study is done, the laboratory is capable of taking the buccal swabs, and I think by the end of the year we can start with here in the US. And that's going to be huge, I tell you. And that's just the beginning. And if you want to know about the costs, we think about, that's the price target we are aiming, $14.99, including tests and the 3-month program. Which sounds a lot, it's quite decent, I tell you. There's a company right now, 10X, maybe you heard about that. Did you hear about the company? 10X Health? They sit in Florida. They offer all that kind of stuff. They do a SNP test, they offer you a SNP test for $1,299, without intervention. And you get an epigenetic analysis, including a 90-day personalized phytonutrient intervention for $14.99. And if you want to do a follow-up 90 days, it costs you about $5.99. And the good thing is, you can also do a follow-up test if you want. Because comparing to your DNA test, the epigenetic analysis is going to change. So if you want to check on your progress, you can do this. But the main target is here in this area. Questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a time frame that you would recommend someone to do the initial test and taking the 3 months and then doing a follow-up?
Like I said, I would probably, from what I learned until now, 12 months.
So every year, basically.
At least after the first year, and then let the customer or the person decide based on their personal feelings, how they can deal with it, whether they want to do it again, or it's the same with the other way around. I just remember, at a certain stage, I started not to going into MRIs to wanting to figure out if my cancer comes back or not, because for me it was gone. You know what I mean? So maybe it will be the same. The people already feel good after a certain period of intervention. Why should they do this? But I can promise you will always see an improvement in that, always.
What did you mean by nutrient brain in the previous slide?
That's a specific grain. So the problem with nutrition is, we learned in order to make them really work properly, first of all, they need to be properly digested until they are dissolved. So in order to do that, you have to enclose them in a certain layers, because otherwise you swallow them and they already dissolve in your stomach. It would be much better and much more powerful if they dissolve in your intestines. In order to get them there without dissolving before, you need to create layers around them to make sure that these layers dissolve first until the ingredient comes to the area where it should be placed. And that's the reason why we want to develop these we call it smart grains.
Sort of like a capsule for a vitamin.
No, it's not capsule. It's really a grain. It's similar like it's like a pearl, like a small pearl, And practically you will get a sachet for every day with a lot of these pearls inside. This is what every person individually gets. In a box numbered from 1 to 90, with specifically the sachet for every day. And every 90-day program will be individual. If you order it based on your analysis and you will get a different package. So it comes personalized.